The weekly Industry Angel podcast hears from business leaders and entrepreneurs who share their stories and that all-important light bulb moment. This can inspire us all and maybe scratch that itch and kickstart that idea that keeps you awake at night. Welcome to episode 25 of the Industry Angel. I hope you're enjoying the summer holidays, spending time with your loved ones, recharging your batteries. You might be lying on a sun lounger. You might have clocked up 5 or 6 of these podcasts on your smartphone and you've been saving them for this very moment of soaking up the sun, listening to me in your ears. What a treat. I'm only jealous. Before we jump into today's episode, a quick competition update. Matthew Richards and Dorset won Harry Baker's book. I hope you've been reciting those amazing poems to your friends, Matthew. Kate Loudon from here in the Northeast won Daniel Tate's Elegant Entrepreneur. Kate kindly posted us a picture onto the Facebook page. She's a young lady who is looking to enter the world of business once she finishes her studies. So Kate, I hope to interview you one day. Well done, Matthew and Kate. Quick mention for our friend James Ketchell. Captain Ketch embarked on his GB row earlier in July, and unfortunately he had to call an ambulance from his boat and was taken to dry land. Now, I know James will be gutted, and I bet that call was something he didn't want to make, but he was diagnosed with a urine infection and it was infecting his kidneys. So James, keep us posted and I hope you're well. A reminder for you guys to keep in touch. I want to know what subject topics you're interested in. Also, take a minute to let me know what you think of the length of the episodes, please. So, on we go. Today we have founder of the Ideas Lab and author of Screw Work, Break Free, John Williams. Hi, John.
Hi, Ian. Good to be here.
Now, John, you've got a book coming out on the 4th of August, which is in 2 days' time.
That's right, yes. It's been a long time in the making, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Now, you're a huge advocate for screwing work, okay? Now, how about you tell us your definition of that and where the concept came from?
Well, when I wrote my first book a few years ago, which did really well, and it was became a UK first bestseller and was translated into 9 languages and recommended by the Sunday Times as a buzz book of the summer. And that one was about this concept of a lot of people haven't realised that work doesn't have to be something miserable. It doesn't have to be something you endure. So we got this idea perhaps from our parents, but the idea that work is something you have to put up with in order to pay the rent. And in actual fact, work has so many different flavors and different formats now that there is no reason not to be doing something you really care about and enjoy. So when I say screw work, I don't mean you're going to sit on the beach and do nothing. I mean you're going to
Oh no, really? Yeah, I'm not buying the book now then.
See, that would be boring after a while. I mean, I like sitting on the beach doing nothing for a while, but after a week or two, a month, you're going to go bananas. Anybody would. So actually the question is, when you spend a month on the beach, what do you really want to do? And if you can get paid for that, that's like getting paid to play rather than getting paid to work. So that's the basis of the screw work angle.
So in terms of that concept, John, did you do that very thing?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a crazy time because the book's coming up to launch and it's really, really busy. And I sometimes feel like there's too much to do, even with me and other people helping my whole team. But it's all exciting and it's all stuff I like doing. I'm writing copy sometimes. I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing interviews. I'm putting together things that people can use who bought the book that are going to help them start their own business for the first time. Fiddling around on websites, making things look good, because I have very varied interests and I find that I can put all of them into the business. So if I won the lottery tomorrow, I wouldn't maybe run the business exactly the same form, but I'd basically be doing the same stuff. I'd be writing, I'd probably be writing books, I'd be speaking, I'd be talking to people on podcasts anyway. And so I consider I'm already getting paid to do what I love.
Sure. So when I was asking whether you'd done that in terms of screwing work, what I meant by, in the past, John, have you been working for the man? Had you been in the corporate world and you thought, screw this, I'm out of here? Or?
Yes, I did. I left. I had a really good job in 2003. I was senior managing consultant at Deloitte, which is this like multi-billion-dollar company around the world, a management consultancy. And it was quite interesting as management consultancy jobs go. but I just couldn't fit in with the corporate environment. For some people it would be their dream job, but for me, I just felt too constraining. I'm just not that straight. I'm just not that corporate, and I had to get out. And I extracted myself from there. And the day I walked out of the building, I said to myself, I'm never going to have a job ever again. I made that commitment to myself, and I wrote it in a book. So then you really have to hold to it. So if things, moments when you think, oh my God, is this business going to work? In the early days, I think, well, I've told everyone I'm never going to take a job now. so now, of course, it's working really well, and that's a much easier decision on reflection. But sometimes you have to do those kind of ballsy things. I don't recommend most people, by the way, quit their job without a plan. I recommend you start doing the work to think about what you want to do and try out experiments, as I talk about in Screw Work Break Free, the new book. And then when you quit, you've at least got a head start. I don't recommend you just chuck it in and then try and work out what to do next, because then you're panicking for money.
Sure. No, the reason I ask is, John, because some of our listeners, and I know through emails and correspondence with them, that is an area where they are at the moment in their lives in terms of working for the man, and maybe have an idea and wanting to start something, but just haven't took that leap just yet.
Yeah.
So what advice have you got for those? I know you just touched upon it there, but, have you got anything, you can really drill into that?
Well, I think I just want to motivate you to do something about it. So first of all, life really is short, and it doesn't seem so when you're 20 or maybe 30. But when you get into 40s, a rather shocking thing happens, which is your friends start dying. Not many of them, but more so when you're in your 50s. I've just reached 50, and then it just accelerates from there, sadly. And it's every time that happens, it's a real reminder, because one day a friend is well, and the next day they're gone. And that really could be anyone. I know friends who've hated their jobs and refused, couldn't face leaving, and then they've died since. And I know that's a bit grim, but I want to kind of shake you by the lapels a bit for anyone who's in that situation and go, you cannot just let this be. And what I recommend you do with the process I talk about in the book is you do experiments. You don't sit around thinking, right? This is not about doing endless exercises and dreaming and meditating on it. If that helps you, that's fine. But you've got to also experiment and try things. So what I talk about is doing 30-day play projects. You pick something you want to do, and over 30 days, you commit to delivering something. It could be anything. It could be a set of 10 blog posts. It could be your first 4 podcasts. It could be your first bit of software if you're learning to code. It could be your first event you want to run. It could be win your first client and build their website, or get them fit, or whatever it is you want to help people do. And do that within 30 days. Share it with people, share what happened, and put it out into the world, because that's actually what gets you more information about what you enjoy doing, what works, and what people say you're good at.
And that's in parallel, John, with the job that you're currently in, yeah?
Yeah, and you can do those things. I talk in the book about something called microblocking, which is super focusing for 20 minutes at a time, and maybe a little bit longer, as much as you can manage. If you do 20 minutes a day, say 6 days a week, you're doing, I think that's a couple of hours a week, isn't it? I can't remember. Not good at maths, stop me. It's a couple of hours, right? And you think, oh, well, that's nothing. What can I do a couple of hours? But in actual fact, you can actually do a lot when you're really, really focusing. You switch off emails, switch off your phone, and you just do the one thing for 20 minutes. You'd be amazed how you can rip through stuff. You can build a website in 20 minutes if you're determined. You can call a whole bunch of people and get your first client in 20 minutes. So most people spend too much time playing around, and there's a list in the book of things you don't need, and that includes things like the perfect logo, the perfect website, a business plan. You really don't need a business plan, because if you can start without spending any money, you don't really need a business plan.
Sure. Don't talk to me about business plans, because I'm always, and I talk a lot about the strategizer stuff. I think we've mentioned it before to you about the business model canvas, but it's got to be iterative. It kind of just a business plan just is a one-shot thing to gain finance, and then it sits in your bottom drawer, never seen again. So
instead of that, think of what's the first thing you can do. Like I'm saying, your first event, your first blog post, your first. If you want to interview people who are really interesting and publish that, then who's the first person you can interview? And you cut straight to the chase, cut the crap out, and go and
Sure.
do that. It's way more exciting. It's actually also more scary, which is why a lot of people fiddle around with their logo because it's easier. And you dare to do it, that's where the rewards are. And when you see experienced entrepreneurs, I tell the story in the book of when I was sitting in Bali, because I sometimes run my business from elsewhere in the world, and I spent a month in Bali at the end of last year. And I was sitting by a swimming pool with another entrepreneur who's from the Philippines, and he was saying, "Oh, I've got this idea. Can you give me some help with this idea for an app to do with shopping?" And it will be based first of all in the Philippines and then roll it out elsewhere. And I gave him a few ideas. He went, "Oh, that's cool." I mean, immediately went online on the Wi-Fi, registered a domain name, called somebody who he knew could help, set up a sales page where you can then give your email address to get more information. And that was the business launched. And other people will find that shocking. You know, there's no business plan involved.
Yeah.
But of course, that's how I operate as well. And the only thing you really need in terms of a business plan is if you're going to launch, the only reason why you need a formal business plan is because you're going to spend a lot of money. And I recommend you find a way to not do that in the early stages.
I totally agree.
Yeah. But you might want to do a back of an envelope calculation that goes, okay, you know, if I'm going to make my fortune, you know, hand making handbags or something out of a special kind of leather, it is worth a bit of thought of like, okay, how many do I need to make and what are my costs? And can this actually be done in a profitable way? But you can do that literally on the back of an envelope or on a 5-line Excel spreadsheet.
Sure. It's funny. I was thinking there about the 20 minutes a day, and you know, a lot of our listeners might be influenced by the likes of Gary Vee, who's always talks about hustle and working from 7 till 2 on another job. Whilst but how does that compare? You're saying 20 minutes there. Is that something that you've thought about a lot? The 20 minutes bit, is that proven?
There's a couple of reasons why. I'm not saying that 20 minutes makes up for doing 7 in the morning till 2 in the morning. I think I love Gary Vee, and I think he's great, and he's very successful. Right, his company's worth hundreds of millions or something from a standing start, but he looks like he's going to die. He doesn't look very well. And I'm not having a go at him because I love him, and I'm not, I think
he's a big listener to this, mind. He'll have you.
Yeah, but I mean, but he's getting the rewards, so you can make a choice. Now, sure. I'm not saying 20 minutes is, I don't work I don't make hundreds of millions, but I make a pretty good income. I'm on a 6-figure income on the business, which is more than I ever made from my job, even though it was a high-flying job. So if you do, the reason why I talk about microblocking is because what a lot of people do when they're busy is they have one flurry of activity and then they don't do anything at all. And like 4 weeks goes by or 3 months goes by. And then they do another Sunday morning for 3 hours or all day. But actually you'd make more progress and feel less frustrated if you just did 20 minutes a day. And yeah, of course, if you can do an hour a day, that's way better. But what I say is you should always fall back to 20 minutes a day rather than nothing. So nothing, don't ever say, I don't have time to do enough, there's no point starting. Do 20 minutes. You set a countdown timer, like obviously you can do it on your iPhone. I quite like physical clocks, but come from, the old fashioned one to get in the kitchen. And it counts down. Sure. So it really focuses you because you're seeing it getting towards 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute. And it really convinces you not to just check Facebook.
Yeah, I've got a kitchen timer, which I've spoken about on these podcasts before, but when it goes off, I nearly have a heart attack.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you want. I might make one day as a fun product.
I give them away sometimes, actually, to clients. Yeah.
Really?
So, just thinking about that list of things that you don't need, John.
Yeah.
Come on, what do we need?
What do you need? You need, so first of all, you need an idea. So a lot of people at the early stage don't have a business idea. And by idea and by business idea, I mean it in pretty broad terms. Yeah, you might have a idea for the next killer startup, but it could be just the idea is I'm going to do what I do now as a job, but I'm going to sell it as a freelancer online. And that is enough of an idea. Or I'm going to start something. I don't even know quite how it's going to make money, but I'm so passionate about drones, for instance, that I'm going to start blogging about drones or doing a podcast about drones or doing a YouTube channel about drones. And then try and work out where this is going to take me. There is value in doing that because if you sit around forever trying to come up with a business idea, you're going nowhere. If you immerse yourself in the world of drones and you go to meetups and you build one yourself and you I'm talking about these flying things, by the way, if you don't know what I mean.
Sure.
And you go to meetups and you read all the books about it, and you're like at the very cutting edge. You're following everybody on Twitter who's an expert and everybody on LinkedIn, and you start a LinkedIn group or you start a Facebook group for people who are drone enthusiasts, maybe of a particular kind. And then you go, okay, well, maybe there's something here. Maybe I can charge money for a meetup. Maybe I can have experts come in. Maybe I can even, if you get enough of a following, you can charge people to advertise to your followers when they get a new drone come out. Now, but the point is, if you don't start somewhere and if you don't start immersing yourself in it, then you don't get anywhere. So how do you choose that idea in the first place, even if it's a very vague one to start with? And what I say is you have to ask 3 questions. Basically brainstorm a whole load of ideas, and there's a whole bunch of exercises in my book to help you do that. But if you just do a brain dump to start with of ideas of things you'd like to do, books you want to write, programs you'd like to see, websites you'd like to set up, networks you want to do, or clubs or services, whatever, physical products, then you ask 3 questions to choose the best one. And question 1 is, does the idea of doing this thing excite me? And there's a very particular point there, which is not just does the idea excite me, but does the idea of doing it excite me? So I'm often excited by the idea of running a bookshop that's 100% centered around creativity, and it's themed all on that. Now I have no idea if you can make money out of that. You'd have to be pretty determined and find some creative ways to add on extra income streams. But the fact is, the question, would I enjoy running a bookshop, standing at a counter, doing stock control? No, I wouldn't. So that's the first question you've got to answer. Second question is, do I bring something to this? And what I mean by that is, do I have some skills, some knowledge, some expertise, some experience that, or even a contact network that is going to help me and give me an upper hand? If so, then that's a really good sign. And it might be even something you've got from your personal life. You know, you spent your whole life living with diabetes and you've learned some really cool stuff to do with food that helps with being a diabetic, you know, it helps you to reduce your treatment or something. The third thing is, do I think this could be interesting or useful to other people? So does it have value to others? And sometimes when people get excited about entrepreneurship or self-development or creative pursuits, they start writing a blog about their own personal development. And while that's interesting for you, it's not necessarily interesting for anyone else. So you've got to always think, how can I do this thing I'm excited about and I can bring something to in a way that could be interesting and useful to other people? So if I theme it on something and say, can I use everything I've learned about time management and help entrepreneur mums or people running a business on the side who are just trying to make an additional side income and specialize in that? And so if you can answer yes, I can see how it could be interesting and useful to other people, then that is a really good idea. And because if something's interesting or useful to people, there's a fairly solid chance you're going to be able to work out a way to make money out of it, even if you have to mix it up and change the way that you are presenting it and doing it and how you're going to charge for it.
In terms of making money, John, you know, and presenting that, is that the next stage? So are we now going into a marketing phase? You've got an idea, you've got a concept, you think it's going to work, you've done your minimal viable product, it's there, you've done a little bit, maybe customer sort of, you know, satisfaction surveys or whatever. You're going to take this forward now?
I think I wouldn't make it that formal. So okay. I am a fan of doing a minimum viable product. And for people who don't know what that means, it's what's the minimum version of this idea of yours that you can put out into the world, give to your target market and see if they like it. So if you want to write a killer series of nonfiction books, it could be 10 blog posts, and you keep sharing them on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and wherever else, and see which ones get a good response. The minimum viable product for software could be like, what's the tiniest function I could do that maybe I could release some sort of script that would be useful to people, that would patch a couple of bits of software together and be really useful, but I give it away for free in return for getting their email address and contact details, so then I can market them something else. And so we're thinking like really minimum. Can you create something in 30 days and put it out there? If I want to, an example I often give, like, okay, you want to help people declutter their homes or something, and instead of like spending the first 3 weeks designing your website as a clutter consultant, you just call up 5 friends and go, hey, you know that messy spare room? If I come around and clear it up with you for a day and show you how to never create clutter again, will you like buy us lunch and give me a testimonial for my website when I build it? And by the time you call 5 people, one of them is probably going to say yes.
Sure.
And so it's that idea of just get it out there. And then what do you do? And after that, once you've proven, you just keep iterating. You use that word, and I talk about a lot in the book, which is what's the smallest thing you can do, and then you grow it as a kind of snowball effect. So you keep rolling around going, okay, people really liked it when I'm seem to be getting most interest for this decluttering thing for people with a home office who are working at home. So I'm going to specialize in that, and I'm going to start asking people specifically if I can help them with that. And then they seem to be willing to pay more money for that as well, rather than clearing up their kitchen or something. So I now going to specialize in that, and that starts to build momentum. And it may be that after that, you eventually hire other people who use your techniques.
Sure. So you've got that, John.
Mm.
Taking that forward in your book is the tips on how to market the product,
Yeah,
the service,
yeah,
how to go social media and that kind of thing.
yes. And one of the keys about social media I learned from a guy called Tim O'Reilly, who runs a big publishing company called O'Reilly. And people who are programmers might know him because he did lots of programming books. But he's also was instrumental in promoting the internet in its early days, and he's still very active today. And his idea was really the most significant thing I've heard of for people who want to be on social media, and which is that you don't promote yourself, you promote the mission behind what you're doing. So whatever it is you're trying to do, for me, I believe that people have been brainwashed by school to be passive employees. I call them worker bots in the book. And we've
Okay.
all been exposed to it. It's not the fault of teachers, by the way. Somebody had a go at me the other day for slagging off teachers, but I don't mention teachers. There's nothing to do.
But that's parents, isn't it, as well?
It's the yes, it's parents, it's the government, it's everybody's colluding because they think this is the right way to bring kids up, but it's the right way to bring them up to work in an office job. It doesn't actually help them with anything else, and it's a terrible training for entrepreneurship or creative pursuits. You have to unlearn everything you learned at school,
Yeah.
which is looking to other people to tell you if it's if you're doing things right, looking for the right answer rather than daring to blaze your own path. And so that's my mission. And what I'm trying to do is, when I'm promoting things, I'm promoting the ideas of freedom and of the ability to undo that thinking. I'm promoting other entrepreneurs, other authors who've got fascinating ideas about this new world we're entering in the 21st century, which is completely different. Where anybody, I call it the idea age. It's the time when it's never been easier to make an idea happen. And an idea can make you a millionaire or billionaire. It can make you rich. It can make you famous. It can impact the world in a massively positive way. If you look at what Elon Musk is doing in America, I mean, he may just save mankind at this rate. It was never possible to have such a big impact so fast before. And that's because technology has enabled it. So the question for you is, like, whatever thing you're doing, what is it you're promoting? How do I promote that on social media and bring a movement around that? Because in the process, people will hear about me and see me as a linchpin in this movement. And whatever I'm promoting is going to do well. So when O'Reilly was telling me a story of how he brought out a book about the internet, and he said to someone, how do we promote this book? And this guy said, who's a marketing consultant, don't promote the book, promote the internet. No one's heard of it yet. This is in the early 90s. And then they will, by inference, they will just kind of see that you've done this book and this, you're at the forefront of this movement. And you, as a result, will pick up a huge amount of traction. He ended up selling like millions of books, and he's had millions of downloads. He invented the term Web 2.0, if people ever heard that.
Yeah.
A few years ago. So loads of different things. He's now advocating, I'm a big fan of him, as you can tell. He's now advocating startups that actually consider what the impact is for their workers, because some startups are so obsessed with becoming billionaires and changing the world, they haven't stopped to think whether they're actually making the world any better. So he's a fascinating guy, and I believe whatever you're doing, you could be like a declutter consultant, and you believe in beautiful home offices that inspire you to work and be fantastically productive. That's your mission, and you tweet pictures and put on Instagram pictures of beautiful offices all over the world, and you have nerdy discussions about to-do list management apps. And if that's your topic, if this is a time to get really nerdy about the thing that you're obsessed with. And I read the most obscure books around work and the future of work and technology and AI and all sorts of stuff. It's all fascinating to me.
And that sort of interest you have there in terms of books and tech, does that influence your books as well, John?
Yeah, because the biggest force for change at the moment is technology. And I don't think people are quite aware of just how close we are to a massive shift in the way the world works, and brought around by artificial intelligence and robots. And what's happening is, the increasing chasm between rich and poor is partly, I think, provoked by this. So there is a concentration of wealth, and that's problematic in itself. So but what it's doing for work is it's moving employers towards what's being called a gig economy. So instead of having employees, you hire people by the hour or by the project, and you don't need to be an employee anymore. And they're automating a lot of stuff and outsourcing globally a lot of stuff. I just got called by HSBC about something or other. They're just doing a security check because I bought something online, and they're clearly. They're all out in the Philippines over there, or out in India. So lots of jobs are moving out there. And at the moment, it's fairly mundane jobs, but it's moving up the tree and taking some quite smart jobs like lawyers and accountants and things like that. Even those people are being outsourced.
Yeah, it's huge. You're right. It is. It's huge.
So I think, if you're stuck in a job and hoping to just hold on to it when the economy is rocky, I would strongly recommend you do not do that. And what you should be doing is, I don't think you should just quit your job. I think you need to start thinking about what you're going to do, what you'd like to do if this Friday your boss calls you in and goes, bad news, we're letting you go. And you want to be prepared and know, I'm not trying to scare you, but you want to have a more exciting future lined up where you just think, okay, brilliant. Particularly if they pay me off, if you're lucky enough to get a settlement, then I can go and create something amazing of my own. And I know what it is, and I know how to start. And I've already started, and I've already had my first sale or my first client.
Yeah, I think you're right. The days of safe jobs are pretty much gone, especially with the cuts in the public sector, especially in the UK. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I definitely encourage that.
That's a great little insight in the book. Is there anything else? Because I know we're going to do some competitions. I know we've got some books to give away, and you've got a little competition you want to run as well, or offer for people who purchase the book on the launch date. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So Screw Work Break Free: How to Launch Your Own Money Making Idea in 30 Days is the new book, and it comes out this Thursday, the 4th of August. Now, if you lucky enough to listen to this on the 4th, and you go to screwworkbreakfree.com, then you can, after you've bought your book, you can enter your details of your receipt, and you'll get a whole package of stuff from me and some of my team, in fact. So you'll get a chance to win a one-to-one consultation with me, which is normally only available on my mentorship, which costs several £1,000s. There's a chance to take part in my rather famous 30-day challenge, which the book was based on, which is 300 people making an idea happen around the world in 30 days. You got a chance to have a 6-month program with me. It's normally costs £500 to learn to dive deeper into the book and start your own thing. Plus, there's a whole lot of stuff, resources around the book where you can get a spreadsheet for helping you choose your idea, an offer on getting a website built more cheaply, on getting money off getting a headshot done. So all kinds of stuff if you go to screwworkbreakfree.com and you do it on the 4th of August. Now, if you're listening to this afterwards, no, I have to listen to podcasts later, then go to screwworkbreakfree.com and you can still download a bunch of resources which will help you with the book, and you can get the first chapter for free and stuff, whatever date it is. So I hope you'll come and find out all about that stuff.
Excellent stuff. And I know we've got 5 copies. The teams give us 5 copies to give away to Industry Angel listeners. And I think we'll run that through Twitter.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So, yeah, excellent. So thank you very much for that. So, John, fantastic insight into that. I know you can't talk about the book in half an hour even, because it just seems so much quality in there.
It's 300 pages now. Is
it really?
Intended to write a really short book, and somehow it ended up even longer than my first one. So this is 300 pages. And when you buy the book, it also I give 10% of the royalties around the world from now on go to Kiva, which is the entrepreneur lending non-profit, where they give $25 loans, $200 loans to people in the third world, in the developing world, to help them start their own business. So you can find out all about that on the website as well.
Excellent. Well done, John. I know listeners will probably remember Nat Robinson from episode 5. Nat was the CEO and founder of Jehudi Kalimo, and that was a company, John, that provided micro asset financing to rural smallholder farmers in Kenya.
Oh.
And a lot of their projects were funded through Kiva. So,
Brilliant.
Great stuff. Well done.
Yeah.
Excellent, John. Well, hey, thanks for your time. It's been brilliant. And hopefully you'll have some lucky listeners there. We'll grab some resources from you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ian.
I hope you enjoyed that chat there with John Williams. I know that topic is one our listeners enjoy, as many of you are thinking about making the transition into launching your own business. And there's the perfect book for you. Work through them resources in parallel. Don't quit. All right? There's too many gaffers I'm going to be in trouble with them because everyone's jumping ship. But work through the resources. Get that confidence up. Do that brainstorming. And then when you're ready to go, off you go, and best of luck with it. So if you're lucky enough to listen to this on the 4th, excellent, or before maybe, I might get this out on the 3rd. Brilliant, because then you can jump onto the website and grab some of those resources that John mentioned, and they sound super applicable to you guys. So let me know if you've done that and you've been successful. So until next time, I'm Ian Farrer, this is the Industry Angel, and thanks for listening.